Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome for today's Executive Roundtable, Navigating Economic Headwinds, Retain More SBO Renters with Data-Driven Strategies. My name is Emily Lagasse. I'm the VP of Marketing at Bluestream, and I will be your moderator for today's discussion. In the current and changing economic climate, ensuring the longevity of your band and orchestra rental programs is absolutely critical. We've assembled a panel of industry-leading experts who will share actionable data insights and proven best practices to help you immediately improve renter retention and strengthen your bottom line. I would like to start by introducing you to our panelists before handing it over to my colleague, Tyler Craig, who will be providing a brief Bluestream overview. After that, we'll get into our discussion. First, I would like to introduce Jake Connolly, CEO of Connolly Music. Jake and his team are dedicated to connecting manufacturers, resellers, and the devoted community of musicians they serve. We also have Garrison Grisaffi, Director of Education Services at Ted Brown Music, joining us. As a fourth-generation music retailer, Garrison has a profound understanding of the music education landscape and the critical role retailers play in it. We also have Jimmy Edwards, President of Marshall Music. Jimmy's journey within Marshall Music, from the loading dock to the presidency, provides a unique perspective on the operational and strategic aspects of all things music retail. Next, I would like to introduce my colleagues. Jack Kerwin, Senior Data Engineer at Bluestream. Jack's expertise in data analytics is key to unlocking the insights that drive customer success and retention, and I know everyone here is very eager to hear from him today. And finally, we have Tyler Craig, CRO at Bluestream. Tyler brings over 15 years of experience in sales, leadership, and strategic development, and is instrumental in guiding Bluestream's clients in leveraging technology to enhance customer experience, particularly within the music instrument rental sector. Now I'd like to hand it over to Tyler, who will be sharing an overview of how Bluestream is powering music retail to set the stage for our discussion. Tyler, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. And yes, everybody I'm sure is eager to get to Jack and Jake and Jimmy and Garrison. So I'll go through this first part as quickly as we can so we can get to the meat of the discussion. And thank you for everybody listening in. Thank you to the fellow panelists for being here. So want to start with what is unfortunately a stark reality, and that most dealers that focus on school band and orchestra renters are facing a retention crisis, or a quitter crisis, as some of your peers refer to it. And we see it every day in our conversations. And we know that half of your renters from this school year won't continue into the next school year. And so, considering the significant investment, both time and money, that goes into acquiring these players, this level of loss we feel is unsustainable, especially when you layer in the uncertain economic environment climate we find ourselves in. But there is good news. This doesn't have to be your story, which is why we're here today to talk about it. And we believe that true personalization, going beyond just basic data points in order to really understand individual consumer needs, offers a really powerful solution. And we and McKinsey see a winning connected customer as generating 10 times their initial purchase value in lifetime value, what we'll refer to as LTV. So if you're not seeing that sort of return, your acquisition costs are likely outweighing the return that they deliver. So it's time to prioritize retention. And at Bluestream, we believe that every customer should be your best customer. We come at it from that fundamental belief. And to do that, we empower companies to really cultivate a customer delight through exceptional instrument experiences that directly lead to significantly higher retention, repeat purchases, revenue, and that LTV that we were talking about. So for musical instrument dealers that are aiming for that enduring customer relationship, our product experience platform stands alone as the AI-powered platform that delivers this continuous proactive guidance throughout the entire instrument rentership or even ownership journey, from those early days of unboxing to making the first sounds, to improving, to renewals, to step-ups, all via intelligent communication that's based on the data we know and what we continue to learn about your customers. And unlike tools that are focused solely on customer acquisition, or reactive support, or transactional basic messaging like billing or repair notifications, what Bluestream is doing is, again, fundamentally increasing retention revenue and that long-term loyalty by ensuring a very positive and supported player experience from those very first moments that are based on the specific needs of each customer. And so if we take that plus go one layer deeper into the challenge that we see in the current landscape and really get into how we turn this crisis into an opportunity, this image comes to mind. And I think everybody here, I know my fellow panelists do, and I would imagine everybody listening would agree that there's a huge opportunity and a benefit to staying connected with your customer post-purchase or post-rental. But to create a successful player, you need personalized guidance, and personalized guidance is dependent on real player data. And so a typical consumer transaction follows a pretty predictable pattern, and perception, satisfaction, our happiness as consumers are highest right at that point of purchase. And as an instrument is unboxed and played, that inevitably drops. Either potential is lost because the right guidance wasn't provided at the right time. The instrument gets put in the closet and forgotten about. Maybe they loved it the first few times they played it and just never came back for whatever reason. Or maybe the experience was built back up through a really heavy and expensive customer service, human hands-on kind of approach. And so you kind of look at this as a black hole of communication. You have no idea which of these things are occurring as they occur. And these are the reasons why 50% of renters disappear before year two. So establishing that meaningful instrument connection with the player allows for a more consistent, more repeatable, more profitable business and a much better experience for the player, helping to set the habit for a lifelong love of music. And a question we like to ask at Bluestream is, do you know if your players were successful today or this morning or last week? While we've been on this webinar for 8 minutes so far, and we're met with a resounding no, or, well, we might find out when they return their instrument. We feel that kind of sucks, right? It's too late at that point. And when you're able to know this type of data, you're really able to see things that Bluestream's existing clients see, like taking a 35% fall semester quitter rate and taking that to 8%. Taking a fall semester quitter rate and dropping it down from 17 to 10%, seeing tens of thousands of dollars in revenue from one individual touch point, seeing 100% increase in next school year pre-booked rentals. Those are the types of results that our clients see through this type of approach. And what you track in your business is a myriad of things. You track a ton, your target schools, your reps on the road. Maybe you even have some Google Analytics looking at your website. So you probably know everything that happens prior to the point of a rental or to the point of a purchase. That entire journey, you probably know it. But once that violin hits the doorstep or they walk out of one of your locations, that connection is lost and often not regained until it's too late. And we hear, time again, Tyler, we really only have 2 touch points with our renters in August or September when they pick up the instrument, and then again in May or June when they return it. And so how much potential, how much revenue is being left on the table because of that? And another image that floats through my head constantly, what your rental program looks like over the course of time. And looking at 2 years in this case, you began this school year with 100% of your renters, of course. And by January, if you're like the average dealer that works with Bluestream, you saw 10 to 15% of those renters drop out. So you're down to 85%. And when the books are closed on this school year, it's going to be down to 50%. So half your renters are gone. And in year 2, you're losing another 5 to 10%. That's what we see. That's the blue line that you see cruising along the bottom here. With Bluestream, we improve that in a way, the red line, that puts all of that middle shaded area of money back into your pocket, $150,000 on average revenue gain per 1,000 renters. So that blue line, the status quo, that's not your fault. There just hasn't been a solution that considers the product ownership lifecycle of physical goods, which of course musical instruments are. And so those early critical days or critical minutes of unboxing onward toward usage and care and maintenance, critical. And there are plenty of tools, point solutions really that focus a tremendous amount of effort and investment on new customer acquisition, and then an equal effort and investment on supporting when things go wrong. Yet that is the most crucial time, that what I think of as the doorstep to delight period, picturing that brown box on the front porch, doorstep to delight. That's the key to building these really lasting relationships and to getting a real return on that upfront investment to acquire the customer. It's also the point in the customer relationship where customers want the most connection and personalization. We'll reference another McKinsey stat that says 71% of consumers expect a personalized experience after the purchase, and 71% are upset when they don't get it. So building that loyalty and engagement between dealers and their players right after that initial purchase, that phase in that past chart when many customers are losing touch, it's crucial to creating a truly connected player that drives revenue. And our product experience platform leverages both instrument and customer data to deliver really hyper personalized engagement at scale. And think of these AI powered dialogues as a digital assistant and an instrument concierge of sorts that guides your players and players' parents through unboxing towards usage, care, and maintenance of their instrument, while gaining really valuable business insights along the way. And so we've digitized this product ownership lifecycle that gives your instruments a voice from rental agreement ultimately to the creation of a lifelong player, delivering 10x that initial purchase. And when we help companies delight their customers through these exceptional product experience, that's exactly what happens with the higher repeat purchases, revenue, and overall LTV. And this image here and some of those words are a really scientific way to look at it. But when you look at through a real world lens on what this everything I've talked about so far looks like, zooming in on a conversation that our platform is facilitating, we'll use Ted Brown as an example here, our good friend Garrison, and we're zooming in on a conversation, what we're powering based on some information that we already know. We're going to learn some information, and that's what powers the subsequent dialogue. So here, we've already learned how often Brian's playing. We know his cadence, so we're able to say something like, based on the number of hours Brian's played, it's probably time to change his strings, but we're not going to assume that Brian and his parents know how to do that. We're going to ask them if they need some help based on a response of yes, please. Fantastic. We're here to walk you through step by step. Here's a video. If you ever need more help, just text #help and we'll be right here for you. And then based on whether somebody's looking at that link, not looking at that link, we're able to follow up and say, hey, how'd it go? Were the strings successfully replaced? And they would say, yes, no problem. So there's just a more real world example of what all of this looks like in practice. And to wrap up here, so we can get to the rest of the panelists here, when you bring this type of connection to the world of your instruments, really great things happen. Knowing who's playing their instruments, when they're playing, who isn't playing, knowing exactly what someone thinks of their experience in real time, proactively triaging those issues before a player really loses trust. It's these types of valuable business insights that drive bottom line value, a 30% retention improvement and a doubling of that consumer LTV. And we've even seen scenarios where support costs are reduced by up to 30% because of the proactive nature of this type of approach. So hopefully the last few minutes have helped visualize how we and our clients see what the challenge has been with a huge gap for proper instrument connection and what the positive benefits are of deploying a solution that is based on data and personalization. And I'll wrap up by saying, most simply, if you take away nothing else, if you're like most dealers who are only keeping 50% of your renters year over year, we can take that 50% and we can turn it into 65%, driving 6 figures of incremental revenue for every 1,000 renters. So that's what we see, and we really take a lot of pride in turning quitters into winners, and that can be really game changing for your business. I'll stop there, Emily.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. That was a great overview. And I think now we're ready to move into the heart of our session, which is the Q&A with our panel. We have some questions prepared for our panelists, but I encourage all of our attendees to drop any questions that come up for you in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get to them. So let's start with Jack from Bluestream. Jack, could you tell us a little bit about your role at Bluestream and how you work with SBO clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll apologize in advance. I'm getting over a cold, so sorry if I'm muting in between. I'm a data engineer at Bluestream. I lead our data engineering team. I like to say my day job, my core role is focused on building the data infrastructure that powers our analytics and reporting. But I also get the opportunity to work really closely with all of our clients, but specifically our school band and orchestra, retailers, I spend a lot of time digging into performance data, helping identify patterns, trends, using those insights to inform our team and our clients on how we can tailor messages and content so that we're targeting different audiences in the right way. I also want to quickly add, like I said, I work in a lot of different verticals, but I really enjoy working with our school band and orchestra people. A lot of these people are owner operators. They're really committed to students, communities. They're really collaborative when we talk about new touch points, new journeys, and they ask great questions and really challenge some of our analytics, which is great. I also collaborate regularly with our onboarding and client success teams, particularly around journey design, which if you're not a Bluestream customer or if you're eating lunch during Tyler's intro, it's essentially the automated messaging and content flows that we create for our customers and for your renters. Our onboarding team does a great job of making it easy to get started. And then because I'm so plugged into the data, I'll typically offer feedback on what kinds of messages, what timing, what triggers are most effective. So that means I can help our team and our clients really refine journeys, not just based on intuition, but best practices and ground that into actual performance data. I'll quickly add, over time, I've built a really strong sense of what drives engagement and conversion rates across all of our different clients, especially the school band and orchestra people. And that insight helps us continuously improve how we personalize that experience for end users and deliver better outcomes for our clients. And then looking ahead, I'm super excited about the role AI can play in these insights and make things more accessible to our clients. We've already started using AI to highlight key data trends and recommendations directly to our clients, using AI so that we can make things smarter, faster decisions without needing to dig into the data. So it's a really powerful way to bridge that gap between raw analytics and then actionable strategy. So I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Jack. And, I know you're so deep into the data and also deep within this vertical, understanding their businesses. What are one or two fundamental data points related to SBO rentals that retailers should absolutely start tracking to get a better understanding of their retention trends?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think a foundational data point that I always recommend retailers start with is just first year rental return rate, broken out by first semester and end of school year. That gives you visibility into how many renters are returning their instruments early versus making it through the full school year. And really that alone can uncover a lot of potential friction points, whether it's a mismatch in product fit or communication gaps or shifts in student engagement. And I'll pause and say, I know, or at least I hope a lot of people are already tracking that, which is great. And if you're not, you should definitely start tracking that. But one thing that often gets overlooked is what happens in the second year, and that may get bundled into future numbers, or you may not be tracking that metric on its own. So I think it's really important to look at the second year rental start rate. So that's how many of your first year renters are actually coming back for the next school year. And then just like returns in year one, it's really important to separately track second year return rates, again, split by first semester and end of school year. I also want to emphasize you should definitely track these in, or not just as percentages, but also in raw numbers. They can tell you very different things, and they're both really, really important metrics to have. And then I'll add too, while semester-based tracking gives you helpful milestones and is definitely something you should track, I highly recommend breaking it down month by month if possible. That gives you a much more immediate snapshot of how you're trending, and it can help you spot seasonal trends or school-related patterns rather than waiting to the end of the first semester or waiting to the end of the school year to take action. That also becomes super critical when you implement tools like Bluestream, so that you can measure the impact on your communication strategy, both the retention and revenue increase over time. And I'll really quickly add, and when you sign up for Bluestream, which I hope you all will, we always closely work with all of our clients to start tracking these retention data points, help fill in any gaps with your current tracking. We really want to make sure you're collecting retention data so that we can show you how critical Bluestream's product experience platform is for retaining renters.
Thanks, Jack. Those are some really great takeaways. And I can see how critical it is not to just be tracking that year one to year two, but especially in the first year, that month to month understanding where those issues may be coming up for students. So analyzing that data in real time and making adjustments early on could have a huge impact. Do you have some case study examples where a retailer using Bluestream was able to leverage those early data insights to proactively intervene with at-risk SBO renters and successfully improve their retention rates?
Yes, I'm going to talk about 4 case studies really quickly, and some of these will be from people who are on this call. So obviously, feel free to chime in if you guys want to. But I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the problems or challenges that retailers face in the future on this call. So I'm almost going to do things backwards and talk about what we've done to help people succeed with some of those problems. But the first case study I want to talk about is one of the biggest challenges that I see is like that fragile first year renting experience. You have people that have maybe never done this before or are new and definitely need some hand holding. So one thing that we do really, really well with all of our customers, and in particular, I know Garrison's team does a great job with this, is making that first experience meaningful. So we have touch points that talk about like what's in the case, and it teaches you what's in the case for the instrument you just rented. What else do you need? Do you need a maintenance kit that goes with that instrument? Some people may not even realize that a maintenance kit is an option, and we don't want them to miss out on that. So it's not only an opportunity for some cross-selling and some revenue for you, but also to help educate your renters on things that are important for that first year musical journey. To talk about a couple numbers here, for individual messages, we love to see anywhere between 10 and 15% engagement rate. That's above industry standard for us. And we typically see with those kind of what's in the case or maintenance kit related messages, we typically see anywhere from 25 to 35% engagement rates, meaning that people care a lot about what we have to say. They don't want to miss out on something for their child's musical journey. So they are engaging, answering questions, clicking on links related to content like that. In addition to that, we'll also have general education style touch points on things like maintenance. So like how to swap out your reeds, or more specifically, how to teach your child to swap out their reeds on their own. So really, really great content that generates engagement and makes that first rental year a lot less scary for the parents and for the child who's actually playing the instrument. The second case that I have here is revenue in the form of summer retention and keeping your name in your renters kind of in the top of mind for people. So we have a couple of customers that care a lot about summer messaging. They want just a touch base at multiple points in the summer, just to remind people that they're there. Excuse me. To remind people they're there and they're around for any questions, and also promote things like prepaying for your next school year. So we have one customer that saw, I want to say 100% increase in prepaid contracts by using our platform to nurture someone through the first year, and then following up over the summer to try and get people to prepay for the next school year. So that's another really great case study that I like to mention. And then the last couple other things, Jimmy, your team is doing a great job of doing this with very personalized content from your team. So I know you guys have done a few personalized videos from you or from people on your team to really show that you care about the people that are renting and give that personalized touch. And what's really cool is when we do stuff like that is personalized content, and nurturing consumers instead of just blasting them with promotional content. They typically click on links more after that. They're more eager to interact with future questions or click future links. So I think an example I can give is during kind of the winter months, we had a great personalized message for one of our customers. And then when we do promotional sales for like wintertime sales, those sales see a lot more clicks and a lot more purchases down the funnel. So some great metrics there. The last thing I just want to talk about is support triaging. So our platform does an awesome job with letting people connect to the right people on your teams. So if somebody asks a question and we're not expecting a response, so if they ask a question to a touch point that's not asking a question, we'll direct them to whatever support line you guys provide us. We also have our customers looking throughout the day to see if people are asking questions and need support. So that triaging is super well to prevent people from getting super upset and kind of triage incidents before they occur. And one thing I like to highlight is we had another customer who mentioned their employees at their physical store were actually thanking us for making the return season less stressful. I think one of them even said it was stress-free. So being able to triage the return process and make sure everybody understands different, like what money you might owe on the instrument or how the return process works, being transparent about that made everyone's lives easier, which is great.
Thank you, Jack. That was a great overview, I think, from understanding how you can engage with your renters from the moment they get their instrument through returning their instrument, all the different touch points that are so critical in helping retain your students. I'd be curious to hear from the other panelists. What are some of the biggest challenges that you think music retailers face in not just acquiring, but retaining those renters?
I can start. I think the main thing is the communication between, or how to get in communication with the parents. Schools and more often than not are not giving out a lot of information for you. And so your goal and my goal, particularly with Bluestream, is to communicate as much as I can with the parents. That's like what we felt is like the triangle almost. Is there's a parent, there's the student, and there's the school and the teachers that are kind of in the one, and we've been missing that point. And so Bluestream's kind of been filling that gap for us to be able to communicate with the parent, educate them, like what Jack was saying, is educating them on how to put a clarinet together. And some of these parents don't even know what a clarinet is. And so it's good to be able to expose them to some of those easy wins, as I call it, or the low hanging fruits of educating the parents.
Jimmy or Jake, anything to add?
Sure, I'll add something.
Go ahead, Jim.
Pardon me, Jake. Students have a lot of choices. I think more choices than ever. My son came home with he's a junior, and he came home with a thing about possible electives, and there's like 50 things. And they're very shiny and they're very exciting sounding. It's not just band or orchestra or choir. And so, if they are joining, if they're currently in band or orchestra, they have to have an experience that they think is cool and fun and interesting, because when the semester comes around or the school year comes around, there's more choices than ever. And we're seeing that in all the schools that we service. As much as we like things like robotics and intro to engineering and all those things, that's great. Those can pull kids' interest away. And they're more connected than ever to all these things that are going on in the world and the different facets they see on the internet and all this stuff. So, their experience while they're renting with Marshall Music has to be as exciting, as engaging as possible. And so we have to be able to get out more things to them that make them think that band and orchestra is still cool, or cooler than one of the many choices they're going to be faced with when the semester or school year ends.
I love that. Jake?
Jim, I'm glad you said that. That's basically exactly what I was going to say. I'll take it the other, there are so many options now that they have. And I was going to take it a step further of even outside the school, right? So you have, computer gaming and social media and all these areas that are vying for their time and attention. And a lot of these, I'm not sure how much skill and practice it takes to scroll on TikTok for an hour, but a lot easier to do that. And they're so good at that instant gratification. So I think as an industry, us getting better at making sure we're keeping them engaged with our, important time activities is even more important because it's a competitive landscape.
Jake, how much time are you spending on TikTok every day? What's your TikTok daily habit?
I try to keep it under 12 hours a day. I'm really trying to set that goal.
Good for you.
You can't tell he's scrolling right now.
All right. To be honest, I called it Tic Tac a little while ago, so I guess I'm not the target audience, but it's
right there with you. Right there with you, Jake.
Emily, if I could add in really quick to Garrison's point, I love that point of communicating as much as we can with parents, teachers, students. Bluestream offers on-demand messaging, so we can schedule messages on certain dates to get messages out, whether that's promotional related for a winter sale or whether that's content that's really geared towards a parent on how to do something or how to teach your child how to do something. So I love that answer, and we have an answer right back for that.
Yeah, so what I'm taking away from this is educating the parents and helping the school and the students all stay aligned and understanding how to care for these instruments, how to use the instruments, as well as keeping them engaged in a more personalized, fun, meaningful way is really going to be the key to retention in this industry. Great. Well, moving on. I'm guessing everyone on this call knows about Connolly Music, but in case they don't, Jake, could you provide us with a brief overview and tell us a little bit about what excites you about the Bluestream and Connolly partnership?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for inviting me on the panel. Appreciate that very much. Yes, I'm Jake Connolly. I'm the CEO and owner of Connolly Music Company. This is our 55th year as I guess, somewhat of a unique distributor. We have two different components at Connolly Music. We have a brand management component where we represent manufacturers with services like importation, distribution, sales, service, marketing, and bring them mostly into the United States. And then we have the other aspect of our business is being a supplier partner to our retail customers, where we provide services like inventory management, product training, co-marketing initiatives, and retention, which is why I'm here, retention services as well, to keep their customers engaged. And yeah, so to that last point, it's such a huge part, right? And we'll get into this maybe a little bit later in the presentation about keeping our future generations and those students involved, engaged, and loving music. And so the retention piece is such a critical aspect. I know there's a lot of emphasis on acquiring new students, and every year there's more coming in. That's great. It's really important. But I think we tend to concentrate on what's the next thing, and we just naturally don't spend as much time as we probably should on retaining and making sure that people are staying engaged. I think Tyler did a great job explaining how that drop off happens. So while the retailers are really concentrating on that new wave of students, the Bluestream opportunity to find an efficient, frankly, everyone's very busy and only limited amounts of personnel, to be able to keep them engaged in somewhat automatic way was such a home run. So I'm thrilled to be working with Bluestream, and I think it has great potential for our industry.
And from your perspective, what role can manufacturers and suppliers play in supporting retailers' efforts to communicate the value and ultimately improve renter retention? Are there any successful collaborations you've seen or insights you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like what I was saying here before. We're all linked together in this industry, right? So making sure we have a strong music makers out there that are growing. So the collaboration between the manufacturers and suppliers often, from my instance, examples come from like a co-op or co-marketing opportunities. We used to try and have a one size fits all. Okay, we'll do a program, but it is so regional, I've found, or so community based. Each retailer has its own unique areas for their communities. So we found working more directly with a retailer for what works best for them, or what their goals are, what they're looking to accomplish in their community has been the best. And then as long as the manufacturer supplier is there to support them with could be either marketing support, or could be funding support, or more often than not, product support to help bring that attention out there. And as we get to the schools and getting them engaged, there's a big opportunity for celebrating those levels and graduations of those students. Okay, they've now just completed their whole first year, and like making a big deal of that, and that makes them so encouraged to stay involved. And manufacturers can help a lot with that. It's if it doesn't grow, we're all in the same boat. Let's put it that way. So there's a lot of incentive for that, and just it's reaching out, making sure the manufacturers are reaching out to their retailers, and vice versa.
Yeah, it sounds like communication is imperative in this industry, and there are lots of different levels and opportunities to do so. And I'd be curious to hear from our other panelists, what are some specific channels or methods you found most effective in communicating and conveying the value of rentals and music education to both parents and students.
I can start. I think that for us, it's meeting our customers where they are. It seems to be when I came into the industry, which I guess it's not that long ago, but when it came into the industry, we're always a little bit behind of the major retailers out there in the nation, which is kind of nice because it gives us time to adapt. But at the same time, so the texting part of this is awesome, and that's where we're meeting a lot of the parents where they like to be. And then there's also meeting them on social media. There's still people that like social media, and meeting them there and seeing what kind of content can you put on social media. And then also with that social media and the links that you can put in your text messages or the email chains that you can still do, people still use email, is not just educating them, giving them some fun stuff, but making sure that they know the positive impact music has on them. So we're grabbing stats, we're grabbing information and videos, and they're not just videos that Tip Around Music makes. It's videos that sometimes it's just videos I find on YouTube that I thought were awesome. And so we'll put them in there and go, either that was super entertaining or it was very educational for me. And being able to put that out there, and that's text, that's email, that's social media. I would say the main aspects for us.
That's great, Garrison, and I would just to piggyback on that. We found the same thing as quite effective, certainly through social media channels to inform parents about the benefits of music ed. Everybody wants their kids to be successful, right? They want them to be successful in life. There's just so many examples of which you can show that being part of a music education program, whether it's band, orchestra, choir, whatever, develops a child mentally. It just goes leaps and bounds beyond other sorts of development opportunities. And the more we can push that out, it's not just this stupid squeak they make on their trumpet in the back room or in their bedroom at night, right? It's that, being involved, understanding things like teamwork, understanding things like accountability, understanding being part of something bigger than yourself. When we're able to convey those values to parents through those channels, through text, through social media, it's just so much better than having that on your rental page. To say, well, come rent with us and your kid's going to be successful. If you can be constantly reminded, because things are so frantic at the beginning of the school year, the parent wants to get this transaction over with, they have other things to do. But if we can reach them at other points in the year, remind them that their child has a greater chance of being successful because they're in a music program or because they stay in a music program. That's the important part. Not just taking it to get it over with because it's required, but staying in a music program. The benefits on that child's future success rate. It's real powerful stuff.
Great, Jake.
Emily, if you don't mind, I just wanted to, because what Jimmy, what you just said is so true. I was a lot of people on this call, we're here because we love music. We understand the importance of the well-rounded person, and we just love music. And I think this world probably would be better if there was a little more of that helping with our communication. But for those parents that may not, have that same love of music, there are so many tangible benefits that you were just saying, Jimmy, right? About for the students, and I think we could do even a better job as an industry in communicating that. A list I was just typing up here is so statistically proven improvements. I'll get a quick list here: attentiveness, abstract reasoning, creativity, listening and memory skills, multitasking, mathematics. It's just motor skills, self-discipline, self-esteem. These are all studies that they've done and shown that making music actually enhances this. And that's not even getting into things like communication, collaboration, goal setting, which we all know are critical for excelling in this world. And whether they're right or not, standardized test scores are a part of our world that help people, they position people to a certain degree. And there's factual proven statistics on how it's improving those scores. So I think that aspect, I think we could do a better job getting that out there for those parents who may be on the, they're looking at the cost and not looking at what the true benefits are for their students. And I'm not sure what someone takes away from 12 hours on TikTok, but if they were going to spend some time in the music industry, you can have some tangible impact. And I just wanted to say all that first because I want to sound really intelligent, but I didn't make up any of this stuff, obviously. I just want to point to two places. namfoundation.org. If you go on there, they have a ton of this information that's great for retailers to share with their parents of the students, and also Music Achievement Council.org. They have actually more tangible flyers, information, mailers, things like that that you can get out to there to help communicate that importance. So sorry, Jim, I just kind of added on to what you were saying there, but it's such a key point.
I love that too. And if I could add on to you, Jake, I love that we can be a channel to help you guys get that information out to the parents. And like you said, it's not just things. We do cool things like inspirational videos. We'll help get them modern sheet music to songs that actually they may listen to. But it's also getting those benefits out to the parents, like why it's important to keep your child renting. So I absolutely love that. And you're totally right. It doesn't have to be your content. Use the content that's out there. It's great. Use that NAM website that you talked about.
Well, I know we're coming right up on time, and I have so many other questions prepared to ask our panel. It seems like what would be really great is to turn those questions into some additional content that we'll share with the attendees at a later date as well, because there's just so much to dive into here. Everyone here has so much knowledge about the industry, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. Tyler, I was hoping you could just walk everybody through next steps in case they want more information. And I will also just note that I will be sharing this recording with everyone who registered, including some links that have been mentioned during this and additional information to follow up.
Yeah, of course. We should do this for like 90 minutes next time. I don't think everybody falls asleep. There's a lot of good material here. And I just want to thank again our good friends Garrison and Jimmy and Jake for joining us for this. And we make it really easy to get started with Bluestream. We have some great institutional partners in Ted Brown and Marshall, and both Garrison and Jimmy have been extremely gracious in the past of hopping on with other people and providing answers to questions that aren't from Bluestream or aren't from Connolly, but real world examples of how the process works and what the benefits are. Because you can listen to me all day long or Jack all day long, but the dealers that are actually leveraging our service, I think, are far more valuable. So the easiest way to get in touch with us is through your Connolly rep, through Lance or Jeff or whoever your specific Connolly rep is, and we can grab 20 or 30 minutes. They can, or we can collectively walk you through the process. In the follow-up email will include my phone number and email address for anybody that wants to come to us directly. And we can walk through, what the fall program looks like, which we are launching with all of our new dealers for the fall in the month of June. There's a specific process. June is when we begin that. So now is a great time. I think everybody is maybe coming up for some air from the return season and ready to already think about 25 and 26. So get with your Connolly rep, get with me from the follow-up information that we'll send out, and we'll be happy to discuss your particular situation and see if you look like some of the other folks that we referenced early on at the top of this call.
Well, I'd like to thank all of our panelists again for joining us. This was such a great conversation. Like Tyler said, we probably should have scheduled 90 minutes. We didn't get through even half the topics that we wanted to touch, but what we are walking away with is a lot of information about best practices for retaining renters, how to look at the data, different resources and case studies that can be applied within your business. So it was a great session. Thank you all so much for your time, and thank you to our attendees for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.